And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of Northern Arizona with my beautiful bride of 34 years. Happy holidays, happy New Year's, and all of that.
Thank
So
you.
it's kind of nice to have we shut the garden center down.
Yep.
And then gave the crew off, just said, here, go enjoy the holidays.
Mhm.
And then we're back at it like 8 days
Yeah.
later. And it's hard to get in the rhythm again. It's been nice to be off for a while. I know the whole crew is that way.
I'm missing my afternoon nap here.
I know the office staff, they went down to Mexico. I think they went down together. We had people coming in from all over. Our facilities guy had high school friends show up from
Oh, really?
Ajo. Kind of,
Oh, wow.
it was just fun to hear
Uh-huh.
all the stories people had of not just Christmas presents, but the friendships,
Right.
the connections.
Mhm.
That's what's fun to hear about. So,
Yeah.
we get the pleasure of being able to do that financially with the crew. We can
Yeah.
just let them off between Christmas and New Year's, and so we benefit as much as they do.
You bet.
So I'm trying to write an article right now, thinking, why do we do that?
Ah.
What's our philosophy behind that? And it's actually hard to put into words. It's a feeling, but we care about way more than customers. We care about people.
Mhm.
And our people are part of the people that we care about, not just customer people. So it's way deeper than just we're here to make money off customers. No, we're here to make the community better, and it starts with our own staff.
Mhm.
And so I don't quite have that worded out yet. It's still coming together. It's kind of hard to put down feelings on paper in 500 words or less that the press will actually pick up. So,
Well, I'm sure you will accomplish it
yeah, well, I'll run it by you
after a while.
before we bring it to you.
Drink more coffee.
Drink more coffee. I was like, okay, so this is about garden questions.
Right.
So it's just what are people talking about?
Mhm.
And so we have probably less questions because we were closed, I don't know, last week. Or is it like pent up demand?
No, I think it's just winter.
Okay.
It's still just- people aren't quite there. They're thinking about it.
Are
but
they?
They're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But Sandy would like to know, when is the best time to cut back your peony and your hydrangeas?
Great question, Sandy. So generally all those perennials, really most of your pruning is done January 1 through March, and you've got some time. So some things are starting to elongate. You can see they're starting to bubble up underneath all that brown growth from last year. You're seeing your mums starting to grow.
Mhm.
Peony, that won't happen too soon. You might see the eyes start to form probably
Oops.
another 2-3 weeks. But they aren't quite ready. You got all that dead spent foliage in the perennial flower beds, cut them back. And you don't have to be gentle. None of it's alive. Just weed whack it, mow it off, cut it back, hedge it, get rid of it, go and compost it, and then go for it and then fertilize after you're all done. And it'll start to bubble up and start to go. It's really comes down to soil temperature and how long the days are. Right now, the soil's cold and the days are short, but it's starting to warm up. You're starting to see longer and longer days, and it'll get better and better for the gardens after this. Hydrangeas, same thing. Yeah, they look pretty rough. Take all those old leaves. If there's any left, just strip those off. Same with crepe myrtles. Strip all those off. Cut them back to the shape that you want, and away you go. So do we answer Sandy's? Do that with echinaceas,
Yeah.
gaillardias.
So there's something like peony, classic example. You cut it all the way back.
Right.
You're not trying to leave any stem. It's
Right.
not going to come back on those old stems.
Right.
But there are some things you need to leave some of that stem, correct?
Right.
Because they don't come back fresh from the ground.
Yeah, some things come back from the stems, the branches. So salvias, or Salvia gregii, Russian sage, they're coming back from the stems and from the ground. So if they really get overgrown, you can cut them right back. It's kind of harsh, but usually we're shaping, giving them a haircut. Hydrangeas generally are that way. We can grow deep into hydrangeas. There's some that bloom on second year wood, some on first year wood. There's ever bloomers. There's so many varieties. It's hard to in 90 seconds to describe it. Come see us. We could tell you how. But if in doubt, trim it back some. Give it a haircut. Not hydrangeas, not right to the ground. And then if you see buds forming on the stems that are left, you've got it ever blooming, or it blooms on first year wood, which is that's all that we sell here at Waters Garden Center, because they bloom better because of the way our winters are. We don't sell the every other, like the Midwest varieties. We don't sell those because they don't perform as well. They grow, but they don't bloom. You put a hydrangea out there for the blooms. And so it just depends on what variety. I know if you're buying plants from all over the place, instead of where they should be buying them from, your independent garden center, whatever town you're tuned into, they're helping you garden smarter. But anyway, that's how you do it. Sandy, good question.
Okay. Next one's from Paul. It's his first winter
Welcome,
here in
Paul.
Prescott.
Right on.
And his question is it normal for some plants to have more of a winter or rust or brown color, like in the junipers? Is that a normal thing, or should he be concerned about that?
Yeah. So we call them evergreens or conifers, things that have a needle on them. It could be junipers, cypress, cedars, pines, firs. There's a whole bunch. Anything that's evergreen that's got a needle is probably what Paul's talking about. And they're evergreen, but that's a misnomer. They may not be just like a Nandina or heavenly bamboo for you California folks. That's actually an evergreen, but in the winter it turns red. So it's ever red in the winter, but then it turns green. So it has this seasonal color change. Well, evergreens do the same thing, depending on what variety it is. So a lot of your, some junipers can get kind of a purplish tinge to them. It's quite pretty. And then they'll turn right back to the gray or that Arizona blue color that they were during the growing season. Some of your broadleaf evergreens can get this yellow tinge. If you didn't fertilize them last fall, they can get kind of a yellow chlorosis. It's the short days. And so you'll get some of that. To see a color change in the yard from your evergreens, very common. The way you get past that, or to bring out more of that color, is you're fertilizing the fall. And that's why we push fall fertilizing so much, is to keep the health and the color of those plants rich and thick through the winter, through the darkest, shortest days of winter. It keeps them looking better. But to see color, not I'd say perfectly good. Yeah. If in doubt, take a picture. Everyone's got a cell phone. Bring it in, and we could tell you in a heartbeat. Oh yeah, that's how mine look too. You're good. So I think that's fine.
Okay. Hopefully you have time for our next questions from Janice. She wants to know, is it too early to begin soil prep for raised vegetable beds?
Yeah.
And then also, what would you add besides just soil?
That was Janice. So yes. So you've got, we'll start plugging vegetables, potatoes, onions, the early greens, lettuce, broccoli, spinach, cauliflower, all the foliage kind of stuff. We'll start planting those in March. So you've got 6-8 weeks. You've got some time. It's time to do it. Generally, after the first of the year through February is when we do most of our soil amendments. And so you really do what the book says is put a 2-inch layer of organic matter, a lot of that's manure or compost, over the entire garden and turn it to 1 shovel's depth or 1 rototiller, or just basically about 8 inches. Turn that in. And that's how you prep the soils. You really do, if you're using a lot of manure, you really do want to do that ahead of the planting season. So you want it to settle and percolate, and you want a snowstorm or some rain to come in there to help neutralize all that nitrogen that you have, especially if you're using really hot manures like chicken or turkey manure. They're very hot. If you were to blend that in and plug your lettuce in right afterwards, you might wilt just because it was so hot. It was too hot, too much fertilizer, or it just elongates. There's different reasons you want to do that, but do it now. Let it set for a couple of weeks. And I guess if you really got into it and you wanted to plant like next weekend, water it, put the irrigation on, and just play nature and just kind of neutralize stuff. But I would put a fertilizer down. There's a vegetable food that we sell here that's organic. I would add that on top of a 2-inch layer of compost or manures, turn all that in together, let it set, start plugging or planting March 1. That's what I would do. Great questions this week.
All right.
We're out of time, just like that. Lisa Watersland in the studio with your garden questions. We'll be right back right after this.